is going on, everybody? It's your boy PTK Blam back in the building with another video dropping this week for you all. First and foremost, I have a special announcement to make. The Shop Podcast will be returning this Sunday. So new time, new day, Sunday at 6 p.m. AZ time, 8 p.m. EST. You guys come hang out with us. We're going to have a great time. It feels good to announce that and to have the show officially back. So hope to see you all Sunday evening. Once again, remember, set your calendars. New day, new time. So had to get things squared away, man, to get back to the podcast. But I missed you guys so much. But we are not here today to talk about that specifically, but I had to let you guys know ahead of time. So we're here today to talk a little bit of Xbox. Now, I've been quiet on this front just a little bit. Obviously, we got a bunch of big news recently. Obviously, the big deal being Xbox basically, opening the floodgates as far as putting Forza Horizon 5 on PlayStation as well. That's happening as well. And basically just confirming what everything they've been leaning into as far as opening up the ecosystem and allowing basically all of their IPs to be available to be anywhere, right? Essentially on PlayStation, on Nintendo, if it can possibly go there, if it can run on the device, as well as PC, which they've always done anyway. So, and just kind of how I feel about that and why I am still a big Xbox fan, and I feel like I will continue to be so for the foreseeable future. And just first and foremost, this video is not an advertisement, all right? I am not trying to convince you or anybody else to go buy another Xbox or don't throw it away or keep it or be happy with what you got. Once again, these are my opinions on just based on my personal thoughts on, what I use my Xbox for and how it benefits me just first and foremost. So I got a couple quick things I want to get into here. First thing for me, right off the rip, it is the best value in gaming. Xbox has always leaned into this initiative. They've actually leaned into it more so the last 4 or 5 years than they have just about any point in time in their history, right? Things are getting more expensive, but I find the value, obviously a Game Pass, the value of having something like a Series S, albeit some people say that holds them back from a hardware standpoint. I think that little thing is pretty amazing for $300. You can actually get it for even less than that now, probably about $250. And with the next generation around the corner, you'll probably be able to get it for even cheaper within the next year or two, and it'll still be a viable system. So they've always led the frontier in value, and value is big. And once again, that is based on you personally. Nobody can tell you how much money you spend on games. We don't know any of that. So once again, you have to make these personal decisions and choices when it comes down to what's worth it for you. And for me, the value that Xbox continues to lean into, obviously you got things like cloud gaming, which is really cool. It allows you to play on multiple different devices, when the connection is obviously there. Then you got things like Xbox Play Anywhere, which is something that I think should be an industry standard at this point. Buy one game, or one copy, I should say, and be able to play it across the devices that you own it on. So that's freaking awesome. Cross save, all that, cross play. They've always leaned into those things. And to me as a consumer, that screams value. I'm getting more wine out of the grape, essentially, right? I buy one game, I can play it anywhere. I can go on PC. You know what I mean? They constantly have sales. Obviously, they lean into the indies with ID at Xbox. So there's a lot of value there. Yes, you pay for Game Pass. I know people want to always go back and forth about ownership and Game Pass, and are those the same thing, or are you actually just renting games? No, you absolutely own those games for the foreseeable future. As long as you have Game Pass, you're able to access and play those games. Now, you do not lose the ability to actually purchase those games either if you want to own them permanently. So I think that'll clear that up. So for me, first thing for me, like I said, is value, and that's something that Xbox has always leaned into. And obviously, as things get more expensive, you never know what's going to happen in the future. They seem to be leading on that front. PlayStation does it here and there. Nintendo rarely ever leans into any type of value. They're strictly brand strength. People buy Nintendo stuff for Nintendo, irregardless of whether it's on sale or not. So I just appreciate the fact that Xbox does that for somebody like me. Then the second thing really would be the ecosystem. I have thousands and thousands and thousands of hours in the Xbox ecosystem. As you guys know, surprise, I'm a gigantic Xbox fan. But either way, the ecosystem for me fits perfectly. A lot of my friends, majority of my friends, play in the Xbox ecosystem. A lot of value there as well too. I'm comfortable there. A lot of things they offer. Obviously, there's some huge major overhaul improvements. We do not I do not sit there and make these videos without being realistic. There's a lot of things they could do to improve the ecosystem. The biggest suggestions always being the achievement system needs a massive overhaul. They really, really need to look at the drawing board and really rebuild the achievement system and give Xbox fans a little bit more there. They've been screaming for it. We've been screaming for years now, and it seems like a pretty simple thing to do, but obviously I don't know how difficult it is to do. So that's something. Obviously, the DVR system is terrible. That's another thing that's been on the laundry list. I've been harking about that for probably since it was announced. They need to completely overhaul the DVR system. It is archaic at best. So there's some obvious improvements that they can make, but overall, I enjoy the ecosystem. It's comfortable. I love how everything's laid out. The UI, the store is great. They've improved the app quite a bit. The app is massively actually improved. You rarely hear people complaining about the app as much as they used to. The only time I used to hear about people talking about the Xbox app is when when it was broken. Otherwise, people really weren't talking about it, and I rarely hear people talking about the app being broken. They've made some huge overhauls. They combine the Game Pass app with the Xbox app, which I always didn't understand why they had them separate. You know what I mean? So they've combined those two, made them one app, which is huge. The app has gotten far better. You can make purchases directly from the app as well, too, which is cool. I believe you could always download games from the app, but as long as you had already purchased the game. So ecosystem overall, man, it's just comfortable. It's like a warm blanket for me, and it's really going to be difficult to pull me out of that, to be honest. PlayStation and Nintendo would have to do something extremely, left field, something that would just be mind-blowing to really get me out of the Xbox ecosystem, and that's just being the truth. That's just God's honest truth from my standpoint. It'd be really, really tough to pull me out of the ecosystem. I am locked in there. Huge thing. Sorry, being the game roadmap. Right? What are we here for? I always make this argument. This is why I got into making a podcast. This is what motivated me to actually make a YouTube channel, was I had a lot of opinions on games and I wanted to talk about those games. So, and that is one thing that I can say amidst all of Xbox shortcomings and things that we've talked about, things that they have not done correctly, some of the decisions that they've made, they've delivered when it comes to this roadmap. The one big thing for me I've always asked is we want the games to be the highlight. That should always be the highlight. Regardless of where they end up, please make sure the games and the developers are the highlight. Those are the things that should be paraded around front and center. And that's the biggest thing I've wanted from them, is get the games right, get the games out as on time as you possibly can make them. And they've nailed that. They've got the marketing down. Now that could be a little bit better, but they've done a phenomenal job. That's gotten a lot better. They seem to lock into their cadence. Obviously they've made some huge purchases over the last 4 or 5 years with the ABK deal, getting Bethesda, getting King, all of these. They're essentially the largest publisher on the planet at this point from a size perspective, but they finally got all of that lined up as far as the next couple years goes. Now they see, obviously things far out. We'll have to, that remains to be seen. But for the most part, they've locked in on everything. They've locked in on the shows. The Developer Direct have been amazing. Those have been 10 out of 10s. The last 3 we've gotten. The showcase has been the best showcase that we've gotten the last 2 to 3 years. All of them have been amazing. They've really seemed to lock in on those things. The games are coming out on time. We're getting 2 or 3 a quarter possibly. It's really rolling, and that's seemingly the biggest thing for me. That's what's going to keep me locked into the ecosystem. I mean, at the end of the day, as consumers, we all have a decision to make. Once again, I'm not trying to sell you on any of these things about Xbox. You have a decision to make as a consumer, so make it based on what you value the most. But for me, that roadmap is tough. I look at PlayStation, and obviously we've been talking about them recently. It's looking a little dry over there, if I can be honest and blunt for a little bit. They have to figure things out. Now, PlayStation's not in a terrible position, but from a roadmap perspective, Xbox is in a far more favorable position. The Xbox has so much content coming out. They are locked in. 2025 is shaping up to be probably the best year in Xbox history. And we can debate that, but it's looking like it from a roadmap standpoint. Looks amazing. And then last thing, Game Pass. Once again, that's just the exclamation point at the end of the sentence. for the value, for what it offers, all the first party stuff, irregardless of where else it goes, I'm playing all of those games and I'm paying $20 a month for now for it. So once again, you combine all of that, that's really going to be tough for me to get out of this ecosystem. And another thing too that's really underrated, and then I'll wrap this video up, is going to be, I understand we all don't like the direction that Xbox is going, but I do applaud that they seem to be all in on one direction. No pun intended. I hate the one thing I really wouldn't like is that if they were half-assing what they were doing. If you're going to go full multi-plat, at least go balls to the walls with it. Commit to it. Everybody be on the same page so it's as good as it can be and it makes as much sense as it can possibly make, rather than kind of half-assing it, dipping your toes in and kind of playing around. Rip the Band-Aid off. Let us know what you're doing. So I do applaud them on that. Some people may not like that and share that view, and that's fine. But I like a cohesive Xbox. I don't like one that seems to be all over the place. That was Xbox a few years ago, 6, 7, 8 years ago. We didn't know what they were doing. The head and tail didn't really seem to know what they were doing. At least as a collective, they seem to be on the same page. But let me know down in the comment section what you guys think of Xbox direction. Obviously, like I said, the Shop podcast will be returning this Sunday. Stay tuned in. New time, same show. It's going to be awesome, man. But we'll see you guys later. Peace out.